Devin Hester kicking off our mailbag. What if it was the Devin Hester? If Matt Eberflus flops this season, who are your top replacements for 2025? This is Chicago Bears now, by the way. I'm Harrison Graham. I mean, look, it's a good question, right? We're far off from that, but these are just names that came to my mind because I've been DM'd about this as well. Like, what happens if this doesn't work out? I think Mike Vrabel is probably going to be the top, if not one of the top, just coaching candidates next year. He's just kind of playing analyst role for the Browns this season, taking a step back, but he's a strong candidate, obviously. Ben Johnson is next year the year he makes the jump. If Flus and the Bears struggle and the Lions are awesome again, you would think that a lot of teams are going to be interested in the idea of pairing Caleb Williams with a talented offensive mind and Ben Johnson. That's pretty appealing, as is Bobby Slowik. If C.J. Stroud and the Texans' offense is awesome again next year, Slowik's going to get a lot of looks, and I think the Bears would have to show some interest if they move on from Flus. Bill Belichick, I don't have a lot of interest in, but I do think he'll be in the mix for some jobs next year, so wanted to mention him. And kind of the wild card here is Mike Tomlin. Obviously, he's a current head coach, but if the Steelers disappoint, miss the playoffs, and are going to reset at quarterback in 2025, maybe that would be the time they would consider moving on from Tomlin and doing it in a different direction. And if he hits the open market, a lot of teams would be interested, including the Bears, I would assume, if they move on from Matt Eberflus. But what do you guys think? Will Flus be back for a fourth season in 2025? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I would lean yes. I think this year has to go really poorly for him to be fired. I think his hot seat status is way more exaggerated and thought out on the outside than it actually is on the inside. Just listen to Ryan Polstock. Look at his actions. He's a Flus guy. Like, it would have to go really poorly this year. So I think he'll be back next year. But if it goes disastrously this year, that could certainly change. Got Adam Downing here. If the Bears go 7-10, what would be the marks of Flus being at fault versus Shane and new staff? It would I would need more context, but if the defense took a step back and they went 7-10, then Flus would be under the gun pretty hard, right? Because that's a big reason why they brought him back. Because the defense improved a lot last year. He took over calling the defense, and it was a lot better. If that started to go backwards, then it's like, okay, we already had questions about him as a head coach, and now his unit isn't performing where expected. I think he'd be in trouble. Now, if it's kind of like last year where the defense is really good, but the offense underwhelms, then, yeah, maybe Shane would get more blame. But are you going to go to a third OC in as many seasons? That seems dicey as well. So maybe at that point you would just consider a full reset. Edward, #Bears, appreciate it. Without another edge, will our defense slip to top 20 instead of top 5? It's a good question. What's more likely, top 5 or top 20? I would say I would be optimistic and say top 5 is more likely than top 20 because I believe in the back 7 that much. I think this linebacker core and defensive backfield is excellent. I do like Montez Sweat a lot. If he gets hurt, that's a problem, but I do like him, obviously. If Dexter can take a step, if he slipped outside the top 20, that's a pretty big drop. Like that means something went wrong. There was a notable injury, something of that ilk. I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't predict top 5, but if I had to choose top 5 or outside the top 20, I would choose top 5. Subscribe and join us every single week on Mondays and Thursdays. We answer your questions live here on Chicago Bears Now, 4 o'clock Central Time here on Mondays and Thursdays. Things could get tinkered throughout training camp, but that is the schedule for now. So keep us locked in here on Chicago Bears Now. DC Viper, is it likely DJ gets an extension mid-season, or will the Bears wait till next offseason to figure out if they want to keep him or not? If I had to guess what's more likely, I'd say next offseason. But what I would do is extend him now. We've talked about it multiple times. With 2 years and $32 million left on his deal, you could kind of overpay on a 3-year extension, like give him $30, $31, $32 million per year, and keep the cost down over 5 years. Like you could give him a little more money this year since you have the cap to do that, give him a nice little signing bonus, and kind of keep that cap hit in the 20s rather than 30-plus on the last couple of years of that deal. That's how I would do it because I'm confident he's going to be good for another 3, 4, 5 years, but whether or not the Bears want to go that route right now with 2 years left on his deal remains to be seen. Sam Rojas is next. I know you do the watch parties, but if you could pick one game to go to, what would it be? From a selfish traveling standpoint, I'd love to go to London to watch a game, but if I couldn't do that one, I'll do a home game and a road game. San Francisco for the roadie, Bears 49ers week 14, especially if the Bears are having a good season. That would be an awesome test to see how Caleb performed in that environment. And then home game, I don't want to be cliche and do like a division game. So if I eliminate the division, how about, I don't know. The road schedule, I think, has more interesting games than the home schedule. Again, if I was going to go division, I would just say Packers because I'd like to be there when they finally beat them again. I'll say, you know what? How about the Seahawks Thursday night football late in the year? A little day after Christmas. It'll be cold as hell, but just to experience that at Soldier Field, I think would be fun. Fill in the blank. The Bears will win blank games this year. Let me know how many. One more I'll throw at you. Rams in week 4. That'll be a fun game as well at Soldier Field. But how many wins for the Bears this year? Let us know what you think. Scepter, how much play time do you think Williams will have in the preseason? This is just spitballing. If he plays in the Hall of Fame game again, I think at most it'll be one drive. So if you take that out of it, I think second preseason game, so week 1 of the preseason for every other NFL team, I think like a quarter-ish, maybe a quarter and a half. I think that next game, I would say I'd play him a half, and then that third game, you probably scale it back to what you did the game before, maybe a quarter, a couple of drives. It could depend on how he plays, too. Like, if he really struggles and they feel like he needs to play more, then maybe you play him more in that last game. But I think that third preseason game for the Bears, which is week 2 of the preseason, against the at Buffalo, at Cincinnati at home, I should say. That's the one where I would play him at least for a half and get him a lot of reps. Appreciate all the questions. We'll get to a couple of more here, but want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. Share the link with a friend. Not only do we answer mailbag questions live on the show, we cover the latest news, rumors. We have daily training camp updates, preseason coverage, regular season as well. We do watch parties for every preseason and regular season game, and hopefully some playoff action this year. Those watch parties are fun. We have full coverage of the entire game, so those are just around the corner. Be sure to subscribe and join us. Paleo says, what are your thoughts on franchise tag for Teven Jenkins for next year? I've thought about it some, and I think it's a possibility. I don't know what the tag number would be just yet, but I'll tell you what, man, these guards are getting huge money. We just saw Miners, what do they call him, Belly Boy in Denver, the Belly, whatever they call him, 4 years, $80 million, like good player, but $20 million per year for a good, not great guard, that's pretty rich, man. I think Teven Jenkins, when healthy, is a better player than him. So, like, if Jenkins goes out and plays 17 games for the first time in his career, he's going to get a huge contract. So they're kind of in an interesting spot with him because I think they like the player. When he's on the field, he's good, but he has the injury history. So the tag could make sense. Maybe play him this year, tag him once, and let him loose after that. Could be a possibility. David Potts, the bookies have Caleb over under 3,600 passing yards. What's your opinion on that? Well, my opinion is that it's already jumped 200 yards. I think at one point it was 3,400, which I think that was an easy overplay. I would still lean over here with the amount of weaponry the Bears have. But the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer, so I think if he had over 3,600 as a rookie, that's a pretty positive sign for where this thing will head in the future. All right, if you have any more questions, find me on Instagram. It's at HGramNFL. DMs are open, so always down to chop it up with you guys, Bears, NFL, anything else, always down to hang out and chat with all of you. Same handle on Twitter, by the way, at HGramNFL.